075 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost 40-50 horsepower Landaulette by Barker 1914. According to copies of its build sheets, Silver Ghost chassis number 25 exabytes was recorded as being on test on January 28, 1914 and was then delivered to Barker of London to be fitted with its open-drive limousine coachwork. The design of this body was in many ways typical of formal cars of the period, with a high roofline featuring large windows around the rear compartment, as well as a sliding division window twixt the enclosed passengers and the chauffeur in the open. Barker gave the design its own flair, however, with a carriage-style curved molding running through the front doors, which themselves are curved up into the cowl. These touches lighten the appearance of the car and give it a distinctive grace. The completed Silver Ghost was delivered to its original British owner, D.E. Cameron Rose, on May 28, 1914 and registered as LL 4138. It remained in the UK not long, however, as it was subsequently acquired and imported to New York by Robert W. Scoot, the U.S. Rolls-Royce distributor at the time and, conveniently, also the American agent for Barker. Scoot subsequently sold the Rolls to Helen Bryce of New York City. An East 80th Street neighbor to the Carnegies, Helen Bryce was the fortunate daughter of Calvin S. Bryce, who had built dual fortunes in the ultimate industries of his era, railroads and banking, and then profitably sold out to Commodore Vanderbilt. The vast sums collected from this venture afforded the Bryces a lifestyle among the finest East Coast families of the era. Miss Bryce used her Silver Ghost on a regular basis until early 1934, at which point she and her chauffeur, Francis Cox, came to the conclusion that it was advisable to trade it in for a more modern automobile. A slightly used 1932 Lincoln was seen as a suitable replacement, and the Ghost was traded in at the dealer at 1710 Broadway. Mr. Cox was apparently sentimental about the car, however, and in a moment of rare foresight wrote a letter to Mr. Henry Ford, Dearborn, Michigan, suggesting that the Silver Ghost, as an elegant example of original coachwork on a great chassis, would be appropriate for Ford's new museum. Apparently Mr. Ford agreed. Shortly thereafter, Cox received a letter back from Ford's representative, Frank Kempsall, notifying him that we have arranged to have this car forwarded to Dearborn for our museum. Photographs on file show the car prior to its shipment from New Jersey to Michigan, still wearing its 1934 New York registration plates, to join one of America's great early collections.